You're not bad with money. You're trapped in a system designed to keep you spending. You work hard, you get paid, and somehow you're still broke. You tell yourself you need to budget better. Maybe you need to stop buying coffee. Maybe you need to stop eating out. Maybe you just need to work harder. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the reason you're constantly stressed about money isn't simply because you're bad with money? What if you've been living inside a system that constantly gives you new reasons to spend? Think about your normal day. You wake up, you check your phone, you see someone on vacation. Someone bought a new car, someone just bought a house, someone got promoted. And without realizing it, your brain starts whispering, maybe I should have more too. Then you go to work, you earn your paycheck, and before that money even feels like yours, it already has somewhere to go. Rent, mortgage, car payment, insurance, groceries, subscriptions, credit cards, and then something unexpected happens. Your car needs repairs, your medical bill arrives, your child needs something, and suddenly you're putting another expense on a credit card. You work another week, another month, another year, and you keep asking yourself the same question. Why am I working so hard, but still don't feel financially free? Here's where things get uncomfortable. The problem isn't always that you don't make enough money. Sometimes, the problem is that your lifestyle keeps expanding every time your income does. You get a raise. You don't necessarily become richer. You get a better apartment, a newer car, a more expensive phone, more subscriptions, more convenience, more things that somehow become necessary. And then your new salary becomes your new minimum. This is called lifestyle inflation, and psychologically it's incredibly powerful because humans adapt. Something that once felt luxurious eventually feels normal. Your first nice apartment feels amazing. 6 months later, it's just your apartment. Your new phone feels exciting. A year later, you barely notice it. That expensive dinner feels special until you start expecting it. And that's the trap. You don't need to become richer to feel wealthy. You need to constantly consume more just to feel normal. But there's an even deeper problem. You're not just buying things. You're buying identities. A nicer car can make you feel successful. A bigger house can make you feel secure. Designer clothes can make you feel respected. A vacation can make you feel like you're finally living. And this is where psychology enters the picture. Because when spending becomes connected to your identity, telling yourself no doesn't feel like making a financial decision anymore. It feels like losing something. That's why simply saying, just stop spending, doesn't work for everyone, because the purchase isn't always about the product. It's about the emotion behind it. Sometimes you aren't buying the expensive dinner because you're hungry. You're buying it because you're exhausted. Sometimes you're not buying the new phone because your old one doesn't work. You're buying it because you want to feel like you're moving forward. Sometimes you're not shopping because you need something. You're shopping because for a few minutes it makes you feel better. And then the credit card bill arrives. The feeling disappears, but the debt stays. And this is where the ancient Stoics understood something that modern consumers often forget. They understood the difference between wanting something and needing something. Epictetus taught that wealth isn't simply about possessing more. It's about needing less. Think about how radical that idea is today. We're surrounded by messages telling us the opposite. You need the bigger house. You need the better car. You need the newest phone. You need the perfect vacation. You need to look successful. And if you don't have those things, you might feel like you're falling behind. But the Stoics would ask a completely different question. Not, how much can I afford? But, how much do I actually need? That's a dangerous question, because once you start asking it, you become harder to sell to. You stop confusing convenience with necessity. You stop confusing status with success, and you stop allowing other people's lifestyles to determine your own. Now, I'm not telling you to stop enjoying life. Stoicism isn't about living in a cave and refusing to spend money. It's about making sure your possessions don't become your master. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful home. There's nothing wrong with driving a nice car. There's nothing wrong with enjoying a great meal. The problem begins when you need those things to feel valuable, because then your lifestyle owns you. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. You might never be able to control housing prices. You can't control inflation. You can't control interest rates. You can't control what your employer decides to pay you. You can't control the economy. You can't control what happens tomorrow. But you can control something far more important: your definition of enough. That is where your freedom begins. Imagine two people making the same income. One constantly thinks, I need more. More money, more things, more status, more comfort, more validation. And no matter how much they earn, they feel behind. The other says, I know what is enough for me. They may have less, but every extra dollar doesn't have to disappear into maintaining an identity. They can save, they can invest, they can walk away from things they don't want. They can sleep better, and most importantly, they don't need to impress people they barely know. That's the strange paradox of money. Sometimes the person who owns the most isn't the person who feels the richest. The person who needs the least might be the one with the greatest freedom. So the next time you get paid, don't immediately ask, what can I buy? Ask, what can I stop needing? Maybe you don't need another subscription. Maybe you don't need to upgrade your phone. Maybe you don't need the car payment that keeps you stressed. Maybe you don't need to prove to anyone that you're successful. And maybe you don't need to live someone else's definition of a good life. Because financial freedom isn't always about making more. Sometimes it's about wanting less. And that might be the most uncomfortable financial lesson the modern world will ever teach you. The Stoics understood it thousands of years ago. The person who controls his desires is richer than the person who simply owns more.